Uh, Coming to you live from Colorado. Oh, yeah, baby. Nice little rain outside. It's nice to be high. I mean, in high altitude. Don't get me wrong. Not doing drugs up here. Nope. But I am going to get you the news because there is stuff going on. Yeah, I've been gone for a couple of days, and I appreciate y'all's patience with me. But a 2-day drive, it takes a little bit of, it takes a little to get back in the swing of things, man. Because, it's 17 hours. That's a 17-hour drive. It's not even fair, honestly, man. It's just not. It'll take a lot out of you. Especially if you do it in one shot, and I've tried doing it in one shot. It is not for the faint-hearted, by the way. But no, even if you do it in 2 days and split it up, it's a painful drive. It's beautiful. Don't get me wrong. It's driving across some of the most beautiful spots of these United States. But my God Almighty, man, shit just takes it out of me. So we've got some news here. And I have heard stories. I can't pick it. I can't for the life of me. I just can't pick it up right now. But Bitcoin Magazine is reporting that Dr. Adam Back's treasury company, not Blockstream, but treasury company, is going to go public. So everybody's still jumping into the game. Even the United States Marshals Service is here. And this seems to be generated from Lola Elites. Now, it's written by Jenna Montgomery over there at Bitcoin Magazine. The article is titled FOIA Request Reveals U.S. Marshals Service does indeed hold nearly 29,000 Bitcoin worth $3.4 billion in a newly published response to a Freedom of Information Act request filed March the 24th, 2025. The United States Marshals Service confirmed it currently holds a total of 28,988.356 BTC, according to official documents released to independent journalists. Indeed, it's Lola Elites. Hey, there you go. The full list of assets, categorized case by case, was disclosed in a detailed spreadsheet included in the agency's official reply. At the current market price of approximately $118,700 per coin, this value is roughly $3.44 billion. The request, which was filed earlier this year, asked specifically for the amount of Bitcoin held by the U.S. Marshals Service. The official response came in the form of a letter dated July 15th, 2025, from the Office of General Counsel, noting that the records were located within the Asset Forfeiture Division. Makes sense, because it is stolen Bitcoin. While several fields in the report were redacted for security and legal reasons, the total amount of BTC was confirmed and reported by Lola Elites. It was also noted by Elites that a follow-up FOIA request will be filed to confirm that these are the BTC managed for the United States Marshals Service by Coinbase Prime. Historically, the Marshals Service has been tasked with holding and liquidating seized assets, most notably in public auctions. While there has been no recent public announcement of any BTC liquidation, the Department of Justice was cleared to sell 69,370 Bitcoin before Donald Trump took office as president in January. Quote, U.S. Marshals Service liquidates assets in public auctions, so unless they announced a sale, this list should be accurate, Elites reported. Quote, total BTC holdings are 28,988.356, or approximately $3.4 billion at current prices. So this new information sheds light on just how much the U.S. is actually holding in its Bitcoin reserves. Earlier this year, White House AI and crypto czar David Sacks stated that it was estimated that the government held about 200,000 BTC, although there had never been a complete audit at the time. So we've gone from thinking we held 200,000 BTC, and it's gone all the way down to 29,000 BTC. That's kind of embarrassing. That's honestly, that's the kind of bullshit that I expect from Germany, not the United States. Come on, guys. We're way, way smarter than this. So, but we're not showing it. That's honestly, that's disappointing. You never want to hear about stupidity when you're on vacation. Let's get to this one. This is also from Bitcoin Magazine, written by Jenna Montgomery as well. El Salvador and Pakistan leaders meet to discuss Bitcoin. Oh yeah. President Nayib Bukele of El Salvador hosted Pakistan's Minister of Crypto, Bilal bin Saqib, for a meeting focused on expanding global Bitcoin collaboration. According to the official statement, the two leaders discussed three major topics: Bitcoin mining and energy resources, the creation of a strategic Bitcoin reserve, and advancing Bitcoin education in their respective countries. El Salvador made history in 2021. Yes, we know. First nation to declare Bitcoin worth legal tender, yada, yada, yada. Beyond the financial holdings, El Salvador is also investing in the next generation. In April of this year, the Ministry of Education announced a nationwide rollout of a Bitcoin-focused curriculum titled What is Money? Targeting students aged 7 to 13. It's part of a push that includes the Me Premier Bitcoin program and the Cubo Plus university-led scholarship initiative. Meanwhile, Pakistan has undergone a policy shift of its own. In March, the country announced plans to legalize Bitcoin and crypto and establish a regulatory framework to attract global investment. Pakistan, quote, by the way, this is a quote, Pakistan is just done sitting on the sidelines, said Saqib. We want to attract international investment because Pakistan is a low-cost, high-growth market with 60% of the population under 30 years old, end quote, just weeks before today's meeting. Pakistan's Finance Minister Muhammad Aurangzeb and Saqib held a high-profile conversation with Strategy Executive Chairman Michael Saylor. Oh, God. The discussion centered on how Bitcoin could play a transformative role in Pakistan's economy. Now, Pakistan also recently announced plans to utilize the surplus electricity for Bitcoin mining and AI data centers, positioning itself as a new hub for digital infrastructure. The country recently appointed Binance founder CZ as a strategic crypto advisor and has entered talks with several mining farms. Firms. I misread that. Mining firms during the 2025 Bitcoin conference in Las Vegas. Saqib made headlines by declaring, quote, today I will announce that Pakistan government is setting up their own government-led Bitcoin strategic reserve and this wallet, the National Bitcoin Wallet. It's not for speculation or hype. We will be holding this Bitcoin and we will never, ever sell them. So if you remember last week, I was reporting that the International Monetary Fund had wet their diapers over Pakistan's proposed Bitcoin mining scheme. And now, of course, both Pakistan and the IMF are saying that never happened, that they were never told by the IMF to do away and scrap their mining plans with excess energy. And now we've got Pakistan rolling their happy ass over to El Salvador, or wherever they met. Did they meet in El Salvador? Hold on for a second. Let me see. I don't think it ever says. Hold on. They just met. It doesn't say where. So doesn't really matter. Pakistan and El Salvador meet to talk about Bitcoin, and they both meet with Michael Saylor. Okay. I'm pretty sure that at this point, I don't give the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank, I don't give them more than 10 years before they have either completely dissolved or completely flipped on Bitcoin. You just can't put this genie back in the bottle. And when you've got this many, what would be considered, Pakistan, not really third world, but El Salvador, third world until recently. I think we can safely say that El Salvador is no longer third world, but Them in Pakistan shaking hands like this alongside of Michael Saylor, I'm pretty sure the IMF is toast. They either flip and go Bitcoin and start praising it like everybody else is, or they're going to be made completely, what's the word I'm looking for? Got anaphasia here. I can always remember the word anaphasia, but I can't remember. Inadequate. Nobody needs them. Nobody cares about the IMF anymore. That's whatever word that is, that's the word that I'm looking for. If in the next 10 years they haven't completely flipped on Bitcoin, I will eat my hat. On to this one. It seems that the radical dip from almost 124,000 back down to 115 or so, something like that, which, by the way, happened while I was on the road. I went to bed at 123.4 and I woke up and I got in the car, started driving. By the time I got to the hotel room, the fat lady had sung, right? So I'm chilling out in Morgan, Utah, and I look at my phone and I'm like, son of a bitch, you really? You couldn't hold 120? But apparently it didn't matter. It doesn't matter. Is FOMO back? Bitcoin first-time buyers have bought 140,000 Bitcoin in 2 weeks. Check it out from Cointelegraph. Who's writing it? None other than William Suberg. Bitcoin FOMO is slowly coming back as new buyers up their stakes by 140,000 BTC. New research from on-chain analytics firm Glassnode uploaded to X on Thursday reveals how fresh capital entered Bitcoin markets. Bitcoin retail interest had hit the headlines throughout 2025, but for the wrong reasons. Mainstream buyers stayed away despite the price frequently hitting new highs above 100,000. Glassnode's latest figures suggest that the trend is finally starting to shift. Quote, over the past 2 weeks, the supply held by first-time BTC buyers rose by 2.86%, climbing from $4.7 million to $4.9 million. Fresh capital has entered the market. BTC USD hitting all-time highs above 123,000 sparked frenzied investor behavior across newer and older cohorts. As Cointelegraph reported, short-term holders now have an aggregate cost basis of above $100,000 for the first time ever. Glassnode's cost basis heat map shows buyers stepping in aggressively during this week's BTC price dip below 116,000. That's over $23 billion in value added near the local top, signaling strong conviction and possible positioning for further upside, it told X followers after 196,600 Bitcoin was bought up between $116,000 and $118,000. Data from Google Trends shows a modest uptick in search activity for Bitcoin over the past 2 weeks. But compared to 5-year historical data, mainstream FOMO is distinctly lacking. Oh no, we're all going to die. In some of its latest X analysis, research firm Sentiment suggested that interest among those retail investors who did pay attention are already shifted to altcoins because they're stupid. Quote, with Ethereum leading the way, there's been a huge jump in social media mentions of many altcoins and higher price targets. Quote, with Monday's Bitcoin all-time high leading to mass retail FOMO, leading to the top. The mass FOMO has shifted to Ethereum today with $4,000 price calls across X, Reddit, and Telegram. You're all stupid. You're all dumb. There's this metric out here. Oh, Google Trends, Google search. Let's see how many people are searching for Bitcoin. And somehow or another, that number means Bitcoin is good or Bitcoin is bad. I mean, honestly, I think everybody knows what Bitcoin is or that have heard the name. And I don't see the Google Analytics metric being of any value whatsoever. So what? Well, there's not as many people looking for Bitcoin today on Google. So what? I honestly don't get where anybody thought that that metric was ever going to tell you anything. Except, I don't know, land you in a pile of mud, which you can quickly clean off with Soap Miner and his handmade tallow soaps. Circle P is open for business. Circle P is where I bring plebs just like you with goods and services for sale to plebs just like you who might want to buy said goods and services and buy it for Bitcoin, because if you're not buying it in Bitcoin or you're not selling it in Bitcoin, you sure as hell ain't using the Circle P handmade tallow soap. I love this soap so much. My wife loves this soap so much that she actually brought a bar of Soap Miner soap with us on vacation. Why? Because it's that good. I'm never buying soap from a store again. I'm done. I wash my hair with it. Okay, this isn't soap. Let me tell you what this stuff really is from Soap Miner. You can go get it all at soapminer.com. It's not soap. What it is it's soap, it's shampoo, it's hair conditioner, it's skin cream, and it's shaving cream. All in one bar. You don't need 5 different products anymore, ladies and gentlemen. You could just wash your hair with it, and it's shampoo and conditions at the same time. Why? Because it's using 100% beef tallow, and there's no parabens in it or any of that other crap. In fact, one of my favorite soaps that Soap Miner makes is Rough Cut Tallow. It has 3 ingredients: fat, lye, and water. This is the way soap is supposed to be. And when you use the code Bitcoin and you get 10% off, let me make sure about that. I don't want to, because I am in different environs. I've got to go back. I got to make sure that I'm not talking out of my ass here. Hold on. Oh, no. Failed to open. Why? Hold on. Oh, good Lord. Okay. I'm not going to say anything. I think there's a discount with Soap Miner, but I'm not exactly sure. And the reason is that my external hard drive just accidentally detached from my Obsidian note-taking app, which is where I do all my stuff. And this is where I also keep all my vendor information. So, but make sure you use the code Bitcoin and. Why? Because this is value for value advertising. Nobody does it the way that I do it. I don't charge for ads, right? I'm not like reselling or trying to advertise for like huge companies. I like pleb made goods. These plebs make stuff that is the best stuff on the face of the planet. And I've got them all here inside the Circle P. Make sure you use Bitcoin and, because that way Soap Miner knows that I sold his soap to you, and he's going to want to get me back with Satoshis on the backside. That's how value for value advertising works. It may not be the best idea I've ever had, but I love the Circle P. Go to soapminer.com, use Bitcoin and as a code. Now on to Asia is emerging in crypto, but not in the way that you want. Asia emerges as a major hotspot for violent crypto crime, and this is according to Chainalysis. So this is violent crime, right? This isn't like money laundering or shit. Chainalysis usually does that kind of stuff. Let's see how the hell Chainalysis is doing anything at all that tells us about violent crime. Vince D'Aquino is writing it for Decrypt. Asia is emerging as the epicenter of an unprecedented, ladies and gentlemen, an unprecedented surge in crypto-related crime, with the region experiencing record-breaking digital heists and a concerning increase in real-world physical violence targeting crypto holders. The mid-year update published by Chainalysis on Thursday shows that the Asia-Pacific region now ranks second for Bitcoin thefts, while North America leads in total theft. Oh, great. Asia stands out for its mix of state-backed hacks, violent attacks, and complex laundering networks. Japan, Indonesia, and South Korea rank among the top countries for victim counts, with the region as a whole placing third in Ethereum losses. The region's crime or crypto crime ecosystem has spiraled into a complex web where, you guessed it, North Korean hackers execute billion-dollar heists, organize crime syndicates, kidnap executives for ransom, And local financial platforms serve as unwitting conduits for laundering stolen funds. For instance, the 1.5 billion Bybit hack linked to North Korea is the industry's largest and shows the scale of state-linked threats in the region. Quote, illicit actors could attempt to launder and potentially off-ramp funds through any service with sufficient liquidity, Eric Jardine, cybercrime research lead at Chainalysis, told Decrypt. Asked about regional patterns in how crypto crimes affect trust among Asian communities, Jardine told Decrypt that it lacks systemic data on the issue. Quote, negative events can absolutely affect people's sense of trust. So it stands to reason that prolific crypto hacks might undermine sentiment towards crypto assets, he said, adding that factors like user behavior, cause of theft, law enforcement response also shape public reaction. Chainalysis pointed to a high-profile murder of Chinese-Filipino steel magnate Anson Key, which is, or Q possibly, Q-U-E is how it's spelled. I'll just say Q. Anson Q as a case that highlights just how crypto and violent crime increasingly overlap. The case exemplifies a broader pattern across Asia where, quote, wrench attacks or physical violence done to access crypto holdings have surged alongside Bitcoin price movements. In March of last year, Q and his driver were abducted in Bulacan province, where their bodies, oh God, later discovered bound and assaulted in neighboring Rizal. Q's kidnappers allegedly used junket operators and crypto payment channels to collect a ransom, according to Chainalysis' coordinated effort with Filipino police. It also worked with Tether to freeze a portion of the ransom that was held in USDT. Authorities initially believed the ransom totaled 20 million Filipino dollars, and I'm not sure if that's what it's called. It's just like a little P with 3 marks through it. But later confirmed that 200 million Filipino dollars, about 3.5 million US, was laundered into crypto through casino e-wallets and shell accounts, and the tragic loss of Q and Pabillo, his associate, reminds us of the real human cost behind these crimes, according to Chainalysis. Still, Chainalysis argues that the case shows how the immutable nature of blockchain technology can serve as a powerful tool for justice, ensuring that those who exploit others cannot simply disappear into the digital shadows. Recognizing the security challenges facing Asia's crypto ecosystem, Jardine told Decrypt that while limited awareness of threats and unavailability of tools are clearly a challenge, the industry must act. Quote, the industry or the ecosystem as a whole has a responsibility to try to improve everyone's access to crypto while ensuring that they can do so effectively and with minimal risks. So the crime goes up. And in the midst of it, people are still trying to sell shirts and hats and socks and shoes and pants and coat jackets and whatever that firmly identify you as somebody who's interested in crypto. Mostly that swag is Bitcoin based. I honestly don't see a whole lot of Ethereum based crap out there. It doesn't matter what you're into. Do not advertise that you might be interested in crypto, because guess what? Somebody who's going to be violent to somebody when they know they have crypto is not going to suddenly not, just leave you alone if they don't know that you have crypto. They're going to go plumb that well, dude. Do not wear Bitcoin swag. Don't wear any crypto swag. I literally, I don't care if you're a Ripple head. Stop wearing anything that identifies you as somebody who could potentially hold Bitcoin or anything else. It's not good for your health. Now let's go ahead and run the numbers. I got CNBC here up in front of me, and oil is up 0.4%, but chilling out in the basement bargain level of $66.65 a barrel. Brent North Sea is up 0.15 to 68.62. Natural gas in a rare form is actually in the green too. Usually it's red when oil is up, but it's up 1 1/3 to $3.59 per 1,000 cubic feet. Gasoline is up 0.2% to $2.14. Gold is down 0.85 to 33.30 and 5 dimes. Silver is down a third. Platinum is the only shiny metal rock in the green. It's up a quarter. Copper is down a point, and palladium is down almost a point as well. Ag is fully mixed today. The biggest winner is sugar, 0.72% to the upside. The biggest loser is chocolate, 5.25 points to the downside. Meanwhile, live cattle is down 0.4. Lean hogs are up 0.8. Feeder cattle are down 0.2%. Indices look okay today. Dow is up 0.4%. NASDAQ is up a third. S&P is up a quarter, and the S&P mini is up over a half. And people are using Bitcoin today. I can tell by the mempool. But first, we've got Clark Moody's dashboard, where all I can really tell you is that the price is at $118,700 per coin. We have a $2.36 trillion market cap. And let's see, what's gold doing? We can get 35.4 ounces of shiny metal rocks with our one Bitcoin, of which there are 19,893,425.83 of. And how many blocks are there today? Wow, we've got a pretty decent sized mempool here today. We've got like all of 12 blocks waiting to clear, carrying 32,000 unconfirmed transactions. High priority rates are 4 Satoshis per VByte. Low priority is the same, 4 Satoshis per VByte. And mining is at hash rates at 913.9 exahashes per second. So that dip in hash rate has almost completely evaporated. We are back in full swing. And from, let's see, what was the liquid? I do not know where these boosts came in from because I'm on a different computer and things are acting differently when I'm looking at my fountain thing. Just stay with me. Progressively worse with 8,888 sats says, here's the missing sats that didn't go through with the boost. Okay, yeah, now I see it. Boaz with 450 says, please add abcwebdesigns.com to the Circle P. Hey, visit abcwebdesigns.com. That's abcwebdesigns.com. I don't know anything about it, but I'll definitely look into it, Boaz. Now, here it is from Progressively Worse. This apparently is the 8,888 sats that didn't go through the first time. He says another thought. The value that could come from Project Cathedral is like how you described being a soil nerd. The depth and complexity are unfathomable. You could dig and still uncover new connections and associations that you thought had no correlation to each other. One layer of depth and value that the vault idea or something similar could provide is this, quote, the diversity of project levels that could be shared. Clear as mud, right? Example, level 1. Have a low budget tutorial on how to create a unit for char, I'm guessing biochar, that I'm going to put on nostr. Simple, cheap, and a vast amount of people could replicate the unit to create char. They could then charge it with biology and boom, they have a simple unit to produce biochar. Level 2, the next person has a unit the next person has a unit they use that's more complex. They could create a tutorial on their own device and set up. Maybe the second level unit cost $100 in total. It's a little more complex, but more efficient in the carbonization of biomass. And then we go to level 3. Yet again, a more complex unit tutorial provided, but this unit includes a part to capture wood vinegar, gaining 2 products out of 1 unit, etc., etc. This might help people form an anchor point around options on how to start creating local products. Their decision would be based on their monetary situation, resources available to them locally, and their drive to produce. Then they could visualize the next step that they could take in their journey to reach the next level if they so choose. I don't know what you started, but I'm here for it. Safe travels, D. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, you're right. I think you're more clear than you think you are. I understand what you're trying to say. Now, will Obsidian do that. Like I said, man, I've been on the road for yesterday I just did nothing except be here at the house, looking at trees, listening to birds, watching my dog chase chipmunks and watching little bunny rabbits and shit skitter across the road. That's all I wanted to do. So I haven't looked into anything yet, but I promise you I will. Permanerd with 210 says, I use SyncThing to sync Obsidian across devices. This may be an option for a collaborative vault. Something may need to be built out to scale it, but it could be a start. I'm happy to help test any solutions that are brought forth. Okay, I think we've got enough people interested in this. Aaron Joel, 172 sat, says, AgFi, love it. Turd in the Punch Bowl with 500 says, what are the odds that James Wynn was staked, or hold on, what are the odds that James Wynn was staked the money he gambled on Hyperfluid as a form of promotion? Ooh, this happens in online casinos all the time, where streamers, influencers are given the money to gamble with on the platform, thus resulting in no loss for either the exchange or Wynn, but lots of exposure / publicity. I have no problem with that theory. It would not surprise me in the least. What's odd is terminating his X account, but that's another story altogether. I guess if we were to look back at James Wynn's, X history, if we could, like how well was he known? When did he get well known? If it was a very short ramp up to having hundreds of thousands of followers to the point that you're starting to get in, you're getting into like the Bitcoin magazine stuff, you're getting your name mentioned there, then chances are very, very good that this theory is correct. If he did it over a long period of time and it took like freaking forever for him to actually, do that, then maybe not so much, but I have no problems at all with this theory there, Turd in the Punch Bowl. Psyduck with 733 says, Psyduck and God's Death with 6969 says, thank you, sir. No, thank you. And I think that that's the last one for the last show, but if I'm wrong and I didn't read your note, nothing personal. I'm reaching for straws over here in my makeshift studio. Part 2 of the news you can use. House clears key crypto bills for a final vote after a record 9-hour standoff. This apparently happened while I was away. This is Decrypt and it's written by Vismaya V. The House of Representatives narrowly passed House Resolution 580 with a 217 to 212 vote on Wednesday, reviving the path forward for 3 major crypto bills after a record-breaking procedural standoff that stretched nearly 10 hours. 8 conservative Republicans who initially blocked the legislation on Tuesday switched sides after House leadership agreed to attach the Anti-CBDC Surveillance State Act to the National Defense Authorization Act, ensuring the prohibition would pass with the must-pass defense bill. Wow, holy shit. That's kind of huge. Quote, attaching the Anti-CBDC Surveillance State Act to the NDAA will ensure unelected bureaucrats are never, ever allowed to trade Americans' financial privacy for a communist Chinese-style surveillance tool, House Majority Whip Tom Emmer wrote on X. This now clears the path for final votes on 3 major bills: the Stablecoin Regulating Genius Act, the Market Structure Clarity Act, and the Anti-CBD Surveillance State Act itself. The vote has sparked optimism within the crypto industry, with supporters saying it provides much-needed clarity for the industry. Quote, regulatory uncertainty has been the single largest deterrent for major institutions. Stephen Goldfeeder, wow, what a name. Stephen Goldfeeder, CEO of Off-Chain Labs and creator of Arbitrum, told Decrypt, quote, a legislative framework finally signals to the market that this technology is here to stay, that it deserves real governance, and that participation can happen within a trusted structure. Why are all these people the same ball of shit that we've been dealing with for centuries. What is the fascination with centralized shit? Because it's more efficient? You know what's efficient? CAFOs. Confined animal feeding operations are highly efficient. Go visit one and see how much you like it. Anyway, the breakthrough came after Donald Trump called in at a final moment of negotiations and expressed satisfaction with the deal hammered out in House Speaker Mike Johnson's office, as per a Politico report. House Majority Leader Steve Scalise, Thursday's scheduled listed the crypto bills under legislation considered pursuant to a rule, meaning the bills are now officially ready for final floor votes under the terms set by the procedural rule that just passed. The Genius Act is scheduled for a floor vote today, Thursday, and could become the first major crypto bill ever signed into law, while the Clarity Act vote may be pushed on to early next week. Quote, this is a significant win for the American people as a government-controlled digital currency poses a direct threat to financial privacy and economic freedom, said Representative Andy Harris. The agreement satisfied most Republican concerns, though Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene maintained her opposition despite party pressure. Quote, I am not voting for the mark of the beast system. Totally happy and content being 1,000% no, she tweeted earlier, remaining one of the few GOP holdouts. And I don't understand. Why would she hold out? They're saying no to the CBDC. Why? I don't think Marjorie understands what that vote was, which is kind of scary, but whatever. On Tuesday, the House had voted 196 to 223 against advancing the rule, with 12 Republicans defecting and objecting to the Genius Act's perceived ambiguity on CBDCs. Following that defeat, Trump summoned the holdouts to the White House and announced that he convinced them all to support the measure. The Wednesday proceeding saw an initial vote that appeared to succeed at 215 to 211, only for the same Republican holdouts to retract their support and leave the House floor for prolonged negotiations with party leadership. What a bunch of douchebags. I'm sorry, I probably shouldn't say that about the leadership of the United States because it makes me anti-American, doesn't it? Yeah, that's how it started with Britain. Okay, so Marjorie Taylor Greene, and I guess some other people think that the anti-CBDC bill isn't strong enough. And maybe that's what she's saying. Honestly, that one's way above my pay grade. It really is. And I'm not going to go read that act. I'm not even going to give it to ChatGPT and say, give me a bullet point list of all the important shit. I'm not even going to do that. Any steps at all that hinder, hamper, or otherwise impede a central bank digital currency in the United States, I am all fucking for it. I'm just all for it. And I don't know. It just seems weird that she's holding out. Whatever. It passed anyway. So we're going to end up with anti-CBDC legislation firmly seated inside the NDAA. I honestly think it's a good thing. And so is this. LND version 0.19.2 has been released with key bug fixes and performance upgrades. Today, a new version of the Lightning Network daemon, version 0.19.2, has been released. This update focuses primarily on bug fixes and performance issues. Some of the major fixes include a bug that caused missed payment confirmations, a rare issue that could freeze the node during startup, and a memory leak that made the software use more resources over time. It also fixes crashes that could happen when the node was starting up in certain modes or handling backups. The release includes an optional migration to reduce the size of the decayed log database, which helps lower disk and memory usage. The cleanup runs automatically unless turned off in the settings. Quote, this migration is optional but turned on by default, stated the release notes. If you encounter issues, you can opt out by migrating or opt out of the migration by setting no GC decayed log equal to true in the configuration file. This migration does not prevent downgrading to earlier version 0.19.x beta versions. Other changes include better handling of peer-to-peer connections, improved tracking of payments and logs, and more accurate fee calculations. This all sounds good. I can't wait to upgrade my node with that. So on to the last one of the day. I've got this one. Similar Scientific has now become the 14th largest public Bitcoin holder after a $25 million Bitcoin purchase. That's according to Francisco Rodriguez, who's writing this one for CoinDesk. Similar Scientific has added 210 more Bitcoin to its balance sheet, acquiring the additional coins from July the 3rd through July the 16th for $25 million, or an average price of $118,974. The firm now holds 4,846 BTC, worth $575 million, according to regulatory filing. The stack was acquired for a total of $455 million, or an average price of $93,890. So there you go. Similar has now jumped to the 14th largest Bitcoin treasury company. It's not going away, guys. It's just not. They tried to kill us a couple of days ago. They couldn't. We're back up to where we were. Pakistan and freaking El Salvador are shaking hands and becoming friends. I was thinking about this when I was putting dishes away last night. You know, it's always said that Bitcoin is the Schelling point. And for those of you who don't know what the Schelling point is, it's a fascinating concept. It kind of ends up being kind of confusing, but the way that it's best described is this. If you had to meet somebody, if you were going to New York City and you had to meet somebody in New York City, and yet you didn't have a phone, you had no way to access any kind of communication to talk to that person, to let them know that you're going to be in town and that you need to meet somewhere, where would you most likely choose to meet that person? Where do you think that they would go? Because they know you're coming, but they don't know where you're going to go. And they don't know what time you're arriving. They just have a rough idea that where would you go? And they always say the giant clock in the lobby, the main hall of Grand Central Station, New York City. That's a Schelling point. So I started thinking about it last night. I'm thinking about the Schelling point because I always say Bitcoin is the Schelling point. What does that actually mean? You know how many of the greatest people that I've ever met in my life, and I haven't even met most of y'all in person, but like guys like Soap Miner. I'm not going to just accidentally run across this guy in Midland, Texas, or Lubbock, Texas, or Eastern Washington. No, we met because we were at Grand Central Station. We were waiting for each other, and we didn't even know we were waiting for each other. Same thing with Great Gee, one of my other Circle P vendors. You know, I have a great admiration for the winemaking skills of Ben Justman over at Peony Lane Vineyards. There's so much more. There's so many people that I know are good people. They talk about time preference. They talk about waiting. They talk about patience. They talk about, never giving a shit about economics before. Now they know more economics than most economics professors. Right? These are the people that you want to hang out with. These are the people you can trust your property with them. Not every single one of them. Sure, there's probably a couple of dickheads out there. I don't know though. All the people that I've met at the Schelling point, that is Bitcoin, are the people that I've always wanted to meet. That's the point. And they're smart, and they're like just 100% want to change the world because they're sick and tired of the crap that they see. That's why Bitcoin is the actual Schelling point. So with that said, I'm not going to drag it out. I'm going to go ahead and let it go, and I will see you on the other side. I'm just saying, I'm going to see you on the other side.